topic of our message this morning is the dividing line. The dividing line. And, let's turn to Isaiah 55 and 8. I know I'm not going to get to cover all this message because there's too much of it to cover. But there's a couple of points in particular that I really want to talk to us about. When we think of dividing line or division, much can be considered concerning those terms and terminology. In division, we think of division being everything except for in the house of God. And we think about lines drawn and petitions made. We all are most willing to accept that that's everywhere but except for in our Christian family, in our Christian community, in our churches. But there's ever so much things that happens in our day-to-day living, in our Christian walk, that does cause division and dividing lines. Isaiah 55 and 8. And as I read this, I want to talk about a division that we most often encounter. I find myself in that condition most of the time. I identify it and I think, well, wait a minute now, let me look this over a little bit before I make this statement, or let me think about this. I might find myself in that condition like in people at the church that's talking to that farmer, if I'm not careful here. And it's all about attitude. Attitude. What kind of attitude we have as Christian people. Our attitude is very important in everything that we do, go, say. Our attitude, how we conduct, and how we perceive things. Our attitude is very important. Isaiah 55 and 8. Let's look at that. For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my way, saith the Lord. That in itself is enough to preach for a week, I believe. Our thoughts, how we think things should be, and how we think things should happen to us, and how we think the Lord should handle this for us. How often does things not turn out the way we think it should?
Amen.
Many times when we're in prayer and we're praying and we're really seeking the Lord and seeking His face about things in our heart and in our minds, we're praying, we're looking for that substance of that and the evidence of that faith, but we think God ought to do this now. We think God ought to do it this way. We think God ought to make this happen exactly at this point in time in history. By our own reasoning. Our attitudes I want it now.
Amen.
Our attitudes are, most often, that, God, why aren't you doing this? Think about that. In everything that we do, our attitude exemplifies the directions that we're going. Our thoughts. The way we think about things is not the way God thinks about it.